I'm really, really excited about today. I don't know if you have watched any of the sort of things that are going on right now, but it's a lot, and I wouldn't put it past Trump to do something really, really bold. Just because people are so overwhelmed by flooding the zone. I actually put a TikTok out there last night, I think, talking about this sort of strategy of flooding the zone. And it is one of those things where I really do think that even if we have so many things going on, we are now adapting to this strategy. If you didn't know, my name is Dr. Sandra Colton-Medici. I am not a political strategist or anything like that, but I do bring you some headlines every single morning, Monday through Friday, around this time, around 8:30, and I love to chat with you in the comment section. So if you have a chance, drop in the comments, tell me where you are logging in from and what exactly is one of your biggest concerns right now, because there are so many going on right now with the economy, with immigration, with the rule of law, habeas corpus, all the things. I'm curious to hear what you are thinking about, but let's talk about some of the headlines this morning. One of the biggest ones is this one, this woman right here. Wisconsin judge pleads not guilty to helping a man evade immigration agents. So she is a judge, and she apparently was going, through her day today and, administering her courtroom. And in the course of all of this, I believe that there were federal agents, I'm not quite sure if it was ICE or whomever, were trying to detain someone. And she was in the middle, I believe, of a court proceeding in which she instructed them that they were not to be interrupting what she was doing, and basically gave her sort of next instructions, right? And in those instructions, that's what I believe they are trying to say, that she was assisting someone in getting away. Let me go into this little part right here, because this is a little bit more structured. Milwaukee County Circuit Judge, her name is Hannah Dugan, entered a not guilty plea, hey Vivian, Thursday to federal charges that she helped a man who is in the country illegally evade immigration agents who were trying to detain him at her courthouse. Now, there are protesters there, and they charged her, I think, with obstruction and concealing an individual to prevent arrest. She was she was indicted Tuesday on the same charges by a grand jury, and she could be sentenced up to 6 years. Sean, how are you? Sean says, I thought she opened a door for one of the dudes to leave. Now, I'm not sure exactly what she did. I believe that in the story, there was something about a hallway that is part of this sort of courtroom. And in doing so, in letting this person into the hallway, I think that hallway led out to the outside of the courtroom. And I think they arrested him outside of the courtroom. And in that sort of moment, that's why they are charging her with obstruction and assisting someone. And I actually saw something yesterday. I don't know if I can find it. I don't know if I screenshotted it for you guys. This is the other one, the other part of the article. I don't think it goes into it though. Yeah, it basically just says the same thing. But what I was reading was something about her putting in a motion to dismiss. And it was basically because she was claiming judicial immunity from being charged. Now, this kind of brings back the whole SCOTUS thing where, like, presidential immunity, judicial immunity, like, where does the line get drawn of what judges can do and what judges cannot do? So this is going to be a very interesting story as it kind of unfolds as to what she is allowed to do in administering her sort of courtroom and what she's not allowed to do, or say, I'm not quite sure, if she physically opened the door, like you said. I'm not sure if that actually happened. So it should be interesting how this plays out. Speaking of judges, let's talk about this because this is happening, I believe, right now. Supreme Court hears the historic arguments over birthright citizenship. What say you in the comments? What would you say if your birthright citizenship was in question? Because basically, what they are ruling on is whether or not you are born in the United States, if that makes you automatically a citizen. And really, it's because immigrants who may be here undocumented immigrants, and let's say a female immigrant has a child, and that child is automatically given citizenship because that child is born on US soil. If that immigrant came here illegally, should that child have birthright citizenship? I think this is sort of the basis of, excuse me, of the argument that that child, they're saying, should not have the birthright citizenship because the citizenship was kind of obtained through illegal methods, I guess. Now, what a lot of people are forgetting about this, and I feel like I need to look it up because there was an article not too long ago that I think it was mothers, maybe it was Florida, that came here to have babies. It was like a sort of like ward, but yes, this is what it's called. It's called birth tourism, okay? And it's not just, let's say, immigrants from, southern countries like South America or Mexico or anything like this. Now, the birth tourism, I'm going to give you the definition. It's called where mothers travel to a country like the US to have their baby and secure citizenship for their child. It's a practice that has been debated and discussed. In some cases, the desire for US citizenship is a primary motivation, potentially leading to a desire to live in the US with their child. And this, like I said, it has been in Florida as one of like a very common areas for people who are like there's this sort of 90-day tourism thing, okay? If you have the 30, 60, 90-day visa and you're 6 months pregnant, right? And you are coming to the United States, maybe you're not showing so much. Maybe you are of slender stature and maybe you're not showing, and you do not let the airlines know that you're pregnant. You could potentially come to the United States, have your child in this sort of birth tourism thing, and maybe not be able to leave because by the time you're at the end of your visa, your tourist visa, you are showing, you are pregnant, your doctor tells you you cannot fly, right? So there are these sort of cases where birth tourism exists. Now, I'm not sure that this is really what they're tackling because they want to get rid of brown and black babies, essentially. The sort of exception to the rule, I believe, was for diplomatic people back in the day, and this is what they were trying to not extend to those diplomats, is that diplomats who were here on official business from, let's say, any country in the world were not granted this sort of birthright citizenship for their children because they were coming here for work. It was already known what their sort of role here was, okay? So I think that was what was carved out of the birthright citizenship, was this sort of diplomacy aspect. And birth tourism is a thing. So if people are coming here and they have had children, like let's say you came here illegally and you are trying to get status, and while you're here for that status, it takes many, many years, okay? And in those years, you find someone, end up having a child, whatever the circumstances may be, and that child has US citizenship. Does that child now, through these sort of hearings, have that citizenship revoked? Okay, there's a lot of children who were born in the United States who are older now, in their 20s, 30s, maybe even 40s, who were born here to parents who may have come here illegally and have had birthright citizenship for decades, okay? So in this decision, they're going to have to decide whether or not whatever they decide is implemented today or whenever their ruling comes out, or if it is backdated. And a lot of people have talked about this because Donald Trump's wife, okay, she is an immigrant to this country, and they have tried to point out that if they make a ruling on this for people who come here illegally and have children, who are now deemed US citizens, that this cannot go backwards and be backdated because it will ensnare Melania Trump, because she was not a citizen on paper when she had her children. Okay. So this, and yes, they have an American father, but the idea is a little sticky. Okay, so let's see. Sean says, I feel like your citizenship should be established by the birthplace of your mother, hence motherland. I don't think this case will affect current status, but will more so influence future cases. This is what I think as well. I think that if they're trying to backdate citizenship, it's going to get really sticky. People who maybe are in that process of getting citizenship, and in maybe the last 2 years, maybe they can finagle it that way. But I don't think they're going to backdate this for decades, because everybody's status would, not everybody's, but a lot of people who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s would probably be upended their whole entire lives. Like, what are you going to do? Revoke the birthright citizenship and then now they are illegal? Like, I don't know, like, overnight all these people are illegal and in the country illegally and now must self-deport. Like, self-deport where? Like, when they've been born here, never known anywhere else. Like, I feel like that would be like the worst debacle ever. But they are hearing it. And I think they're hearing it because they want to quash it. I do think that this is something that is very clear in the Constitution, and the arguments aren't there, I don't think. Now, whether or not they carve out a different way to do this in Congress, that's something that should be thought of, because they might decide to change the Constitution. That's another pathway. Now, I don't know how much support they would have in changing the laws in Congress versus the Supreme Court making a decision or some sort of ruling. That's a whole other thing. I think if they don't get what they want from SCOTUS, they might go back to the drawing board and just change the Constitution with Congress, and then through the Senate, and then through the presidential pen. I think that is sort of plan B. Who knows what's going to happen, though? Tell me in the comments where you're logging in from. If you're watching this on a replay, welcome, welcome, welcome. Also, don't forget to head over to my community tab. I always tell you guys this. There's at least one new poll every single day. And sometimes I'm putting in things that you might have missed over the past few days of articles that were really interesting. One of the ones I actually wanted to pull it up is... and I actually don't have it right in front of me, which is so sad because I should be so much more prepared. But it was about Microsoft. And Microsoft, I believe, just announced that they were going to be laying off some people. So let me just tell you a little bit where that was. Hold on 2 seconds. 3%, that's what it is. Microsoft is laying off 3% of its workforce. So a lot of times we're talking about like the governmental layoffs. Now I think this is an indicator. Do you know when a lot of tech companies want to like puff up their dividends and their, the board is going to make more money, and ultimately jobs are sacrificed in order to do that? I think that this, yes, lean and mean. I think that is exactly what's happening here. The other thing that I put into the sort of articles you might have missed, like headlines, NVIDIA is sending 18,000 of its top AI chips to Saudi Arabia. Now, if you missed it the other day, all of these tech bros were in Saudi Arabia with Donald Trump, and they were, looking at all the things that were happening there, doing some sort of meetings about business, finances. I'm not quite sure what those backroom deals are going to look like, but NVIDIA was there. The CEO of NVIDIA was there, and they are sending all of these chips to Saudi Arabia. So a lot of the speculation is that NVIDIA, or not NVIDIA, but that Saudi Arabia is not only solely focused on the oil things, but they are definitely putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to AI. And I don't know, you guys. A lot of people think that AI is really, really great and fantastic. I saw somebody talking about what's it called? Using it for college. And they were like, I wonder if your doctor used AI in college because if they're operating on you, did they actually read that text? I don't know. It was a really interesting idea to think about how much your doctors know or how much they learned from ChatGPT. This is interesting. Do you know how a lot of people think Donald Trump is a con man? He's a little bit of a strong man. He thinks he's mafiosa. But this says Trump says he has a little problem with Tim Cook. Now, Apple, I believe, did contribute to Donald Trump's inauguration fund, and they have been part of this sort of tech bro lineup with Elon Musk and Sam Altman and obviously Tim Cook and the Nvidia guy. And I mean, there's so many of them. Mark Zuckerberg, right? There are so many of them. Let me tell you, Xenia. Hopefully. No, I did not. But I do have rumblings in my stomach because I have yet to eat this morning. But if the audio is that good that you can hear it, then thank you for the compliment on my audio. Sean says it was weird because he wasn't the richest person in the room, but was still projecting power like he was. It was comical. Interesting. In the comments, it says, person said hi. Person, how are you? So let me show you a little bit more of this article. It says President Donald Trump isn't pleased with Apple CEO Tim Cook's plan to manufacture iPhones bound for the United States at the newly built plants in India. Quote, I had a little problem with Tim Cook yesterday, Trump said Thursday in Qatar. I said to him, Tim, you're my friend. I treated you good. You're coming in with 500 billion. But now I hear you're building all over India. I don't want you building in India. That sounds like I treated you well and you didn't treat me well in return. And that's something that all of these companies knew going in, is that he is not to be trusted. Okay, he's not to be trusted. He is a con man and he has conned people over the years. And then he has said, you owe me. I treated you very good. I don't want you doing that in India. What do you think Apple's going to do? Do you remember the thing that with Amazon? Do you remember Amazon when they were going to put all the pricing increases and have a little line item that said this is because of the tariffs? Yeah, this is exactly the same thing. I don't want you building iPhones in India. I want you building them where I want you to build them. Okay. Now, Apple's going to do what they want. They actually were proposed, I believe, something having to do with anti-DEI stuff, and their board was like, get out of here with that. Okay. So Apple is capitulating a little bit on the money side, but they're going to go where they need to go because they know that they have a product that people want. And Donald Trump is trying to strong arm with this. The fact that he would say that in just like that, he would be quoted as saying this is, it's pretty bold. It's very outwardly saying exactly what Sean said. Tim took the quid and told Trump to kick rocks on the quo. Exactly. And now Donald Trump is saying this out loud because he wants people to know you came in with 500 billion like you told me. Maybe they even shook hands on that. Like you came in and you don't want to do what I want you to do now. And now he's blabbing it out to the world of what they came in with because he wants to pressure him on a global stage. I don't think he will be moved. I don't think he will be moved. It's a similar stance with like Bill Gates and Microsoft. I didn't see Bill Gates at that inauguration. They did contribute, but I'm pretty sure that he said that the company contributed. But he's not trying to be next to Donald Trump on any stage, I don't think. And even if he was, there's no sort of like belief that he's doing anything good. This is, I own you and you're gonna do something against me. And Tim better hold his line. He better hold his line because the one time that he doesn't, it's going to happen over and over again. Oh, I want you to do this, Tim. Hey, I want you to do this. You remember when he picked up the phone and called Jeff Bezos. This is another one that I thought was very interesting this morning. Dick's Sporting Goods is buying Foot Locker for $2.4 billion. Do you think Foot Locker is worth $2.4 billion? I don't even know how many stores they still have open. But it's an interesting, like obviously it's a sort of good move together. Like they're both sporting goods. Like one is really more footwear, but the other is like kind of all encompassing from the equipment to the gear. What do you think? Is this a good deal? I'm not sure if that's too much money. Because like you think about stores that like when was the last time you went into a Foot Locker? You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I've been going over to the WSS. I think it's called WSS. It's like a discounted shoe store, but they have all the same stuff as Foot Locker. So I'm not sure what the draw is to go into Foot Locker anymore. They used to have like Foot Locker, women's Foot Locker, they had the regular Foot Locker, and they had like Foot Locker Kids. I'm not sure if they still have all three or if it's just one regular Foot Locker. I know they have it over at like Glendale Galleria. I think they still have the Foot Locker there. I used to work at the Gap over on Hollywood and Highland, and the Gap closed and Foot Locker moved into that massive space on the corner. So they did have real estate. I don't know if they had the sales. Clearly they are being sold. Sean says it's a one-stop shop. I can get my sneakers and my kayak. Sign me up. Yes, that's what I'm sure that's why they're doing it. You know, maybe I'm not sure how much inventory they had of shoes inside of Dick's. Like I don't think I ever went to Dick's for shoes. We were going there for bikes. I think we went there for some like workout gear, stuff like that. They have a lot of just like tackle and all that stuff. So this might be a win-win. It remains to be seen if they will change the name from Foot Locker into Dick's, if they will just acquire the stores and this rebrand everything back, into Dick's Sporting. But we shall see. It's a very high number, 2.4 billion, that they just happen to have. Let's talk about a few other things that are happening this morning. This one, oops, let me get out of the way so you can see. This is Putin and Zelensky. And the quote was from Donald Trump: "Nothing's going to happen until Putin and I get together, okay?" Trump said after becoming clear that the Russian leader would not attend the talks in Istanbul. Yeah. So this is Zelensky saying, I want to negotiate this peace. And what a lot of people have been trying to say with Vladimir Putin is he wants a ceasefire. He wants peace. But when Zelensky says, yeah, I want peace too, this guy's nowhere to be found. Because he doesn't want peace, right? He wants to win the war. He wants to take over Ukraine. So, and then he goes on, and obviously he wasn't going to go. Trump added, like he knew Putin wasn't going to go. Okay, he was going to go, but he thought I was going to go. He wasn't going if I wasn't there, and I don't believe anything's going to happen, whether you like it or not, until he and I get together. But we're going to have to get it solved because too many people are dying. So basically, Trump is saying, until Trump and Putin get together, Putin is not going to go to meet with Zelensky. And the thing that brings up is, so if Trump knows Putin won't meet with Zelensky until Putin meets with Trump, and he doesn't want people to die, he's willing to let all these people die until they actually meet. That's what he's saying. I'm willing to let that happen until we get together. So if he's not negotiating getting together with Vladimir Putin, he's acknowledging that all these people are dying, and he's okay with that. That's what he's really saying. I know he was never going to go. He obviously wasn't going to go. Well, if you knew he wasn't going to go, why didn't you set up a meeting? It's bizarre. But it's typical for him to say, I knew he wasn't gonna la 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 la, as if he's all-knowing. If you hadn't had a chance, like this live stream. Thank you. I would appreciate it. It's free. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Let's see. Vivian says, it was just a trap. It will not happen. I don't think Putin is ever going to really meet with Zelensky. Now, he might meet with Trump. He might be next in the Oval Office. It might be the next Oval Office distraction, is Putin in the Oval Office. Now, a lot of people say he will not come to the United States and that there's too much sort of fear around him traveling and he thinks everybody's out to get him and blah, blah, blah. So maybe not. But why not make the meeting if you knew it wasn't going to happen in the first place? That's my thing. It's like crime of humanity. Like if you already know something's not happening, why try to hype it up then and then say, oh, I knew it wasn't going to happen after it didn't happen? It's just kind of his sort of spin speak that he always does. Let's talk about this girl, this woman. Trump Surgeon General Pick praised unproven psychedelic therapy, said mushrooms helped her find love. You guys, this is another person he's trying to put as the Surgeon General appointee, and this is the same one that like went to Stanford and doesn't have like an active medical license, but yet the article that is now from, like, this was from an hour ago that I screenshotted this. Yeah, it's so concerning, you guys, that this is the type of information they're putting out about her. She wanted psychedelic therapy to find love. Okay, unproven. All right, so let's see. I think it's telling, but whatever. They talk about her being from Stanford, her medical residency she didn't complete. In Oregon, her medical license is listed as inactive. She made the recommendation about the psychedelics in her 2024 book. This is not that long ago. Good Energy is the book that she wrote. So she's popular online, okay? And she's an entrepreneur who works in the Trump administration as a health advisor. Yeah, I would say she needs to have an active medical license. If you're going to be Surgeon General, like, pull yourself together. That's all I'm saying. Cassie is on, I think, day 3 of her testimony. I don't know what you feel about this. I think the thing that I was thinking about yesterday was she is like one of their first witnesses for the prosecution. And I was thinking about all of the other trials for the charges that he has against him that will come up after this case concludes. And will she be called in every one of those trials? I certainly hope not, because what that will do to somebody's soul every time you have to look at the alleged abuser in the court from here to eternity, because I don't remember, I lost count of the amount of charges he has against him from all of the separate trials. I surely hope that they can just enter into evidence her testimony instead of having her take the witness stand for the remainder of all of his trials, because I don't know what that would do to my spirit if I had to be across the room from someone that she has said, and we have watched the video of him beating her up, right? I don't know what that would be. And if they plan on calling her for all of the subsequent trials, they better spread that out and give her a much needed break between all of that. Even though, you know, he has the right to speedy trials and all of that, I can't even imagine what that would do to somebody and their spirit. Just devastating. This is one of the other things that I think is going to be with the talk of the day. This is from today at 9 o'clock this morning. Walmart warns it will raise prices because of tariffs. They're not beating around the bush. Do you remember how we were all talking about empty shelves? Yeah, this is what I'm leaving you with this morning. So have a really great Thursday, you guys. And I hope that if you're shopping, you're not shopping with a whole bunch of tariffs added to your cart. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.